everybody? Welcome to the Comic and Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to give you my full review, probably some spoilers in there, of DC HBO Max's Peacemaker. Now, usually I say it all the time. When it's a show that I'm not like completely sold on, like not that I'm not sold on, but when it's like, if it's a Star Wars, a Marvel, things of that nature, I tend to review it week by week because those tend to be such huge, talking topics. And the reason I always talk about Star Wars and Marvel like week by week is just because there are so many implications for future things. Most shows only affect the singular show, if you know what I mean. Like shows like a Peacemaker, Invincible, The Boys, I usually review them all at once. I review the first couple episodes and then of the episodes of the season, and then I review them all at once. Just because, in my personal opinion, just my opinion, a lot of those shows, they're only really worth reviewing all at once, in my opinion, just because those shows only affect themselves, and most of the time they're not the biggest talking topic. Now, granted, if I was reviewing Game of Thrones when it's coming out and things of that nature, maybe I would have talked more about that week to week. But typically, I do it this way, and a lot of times I don't even come back and review the whole show unless I enjoyed it. So for me to make a full review of the full first season of Peacemaker should tell you about how much I very much enjoyed this show. I had a couple complaints, few here and there, but overall, by the time the show had wrapped up, I was satisfied. Just like John Cena, I had my doubts about this show. Massive doubts. When I walked out of The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, while I enjoyed John Cena's performance as Peacemaker, he was like the fifth or the fourth best part of that movie. Like, Idris Elba was more interesting. Ratcatcher was more interesting. Ratcatcher was more interesting. Polka Dot Man was slightly more interesting. Rick Flag was more interesting, even though he died. There were a lot more interesting things in that film before I got to him. And the film was a great film, so that, clearly there's a lot of interesting parts. It's like it's almost like when he had chose to do Peacemaker, it would almost be like if, I'm trying to think. It almost be as if, now this, I don't say this harshly, it would almost be as if the first character, the first X-Men character they made a solo movie about, did a solo movie or gave a solo show to, was about, Jubilee. I'm not gonna lie, I know there's probably a lot of hardcore Jubilee fans out there, and maybe there are some great stories out there, I just haven't read them, of her solo by herself. But if the X-Men, come out and Jubilee's part of the team and Jubilee's the member, they go, we're gonna add, no, not Wolverine, not Cyclops, not Storm, not Jean, Jubilee. We're gonna give Jubilee her own spinoff show. That's how it felt to me when I heard about Peacemaker. I was like, why him? Maybe you could get around to him, but why him? But, regardless, I did enjoy John Cena. I do love most of James Gunn's stuff, so I gave it a chance. And I reviewed the first 3 episodes, and I gave them an 8.5. I thought it was really great stuff. I thought some of the jokes were, I think sometimes it can get a little too over the top, too out there with the jokes, to the point where it's distracting, and sometimes they try to, they still continue this, sometimes they try to be so extreme with the jokes, and then expect you to just whiplash back to a serious emotional moment, and it gave my neck whiplash. I know a lot of people don't feel that way. It's okay. It wasn't like the most bothersome thing. It's not like, the entire show is ruined for me because of that. But it did give me a bit of whiplash, how far they would go in this direction, and then expect me only a moment later to be feeling some hardcore emotions. But I digress. I continued watching it, and I enjoyed it more. First of all, there was more action, because the first 3 episodes, there really isn't any action set pieces other than the fight sequence he has with the butterfly chick. There really wasn't any other action set pieces. So there was more action. There was a lot, John Cena. John Cena is in this weird area. He's somewhere between Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool and Paul Rudd's Ant-Man in terms of the character, because I've already made my peace. I made another video about it, about the one thing I don't like about this show. The really thing that bothers me, which never really gets resolved. I mean, it gets, they talk, I will say, I do feel less strongly about that video at the end of the show than I did when I was talking about the first couple episodes. But they play him, at least this version of him, because I stand by that this is not the same Peacemaker. This is not the same character from the Suicide Squad. James Gunn cut the edges off of him and then made the show, because he was not this, like all of that shit that they're showing about his emotions and his issues and his insecurities and his doubts. He didn't have any of that shit in the Suicide Squad movie. Sure, he had doubts about killing Rick Flag, but he didn't have doubts about having to kill Rick Flag. He more like, why are you making me kill you? Anyways, the character of Peacemaker, I think his name's John Smith. John Cena's character in this is a combination of Deadpool and Paul Rudd. In the terms of, he has this bit of relatability to him, this bit of guy you can hang with, like a Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd has this kind of dry wit and charm, and you feel like you could just hang out with that guy. But also Wade Wilson / Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, where he is this over-the-top personality because he has these outlandish things and he doesn't really have a filter and he just says what comes to his head, which leads to some hilarious comedic moments and which leads to him just being such an interesting guy. He comes off like the type of guy like you would want to have, like, as stupid as he is, you kind of want him around because you know he's not boring. He's going to say something crazy. And like I said, throughout the entire show, John Cena is the star of this. And I never thought John Cena could be the lead in something. Not yet, anyways. But I was wrong, at least from a comedic standpoint. He does pull some of the emotional moments off, but he shines in the comedic moments. Like you watch this show, you're watching it for him because you're just wondering, what is he going to say? What is he going to do? How is he going to say it? And how is he going to do it? And it's just fun. James Gunn knows how to write that kind of comedy. But also, the supporting cast was fun as well. I wasn't enamored with the supporting cast like other people. I feel like I'm talking bad about this show, but you gotta understand, all I see around me are people saying this is the best superhero show of the year, the best DC superhero show. I don't think this show is as good as Arrow season 1 or 2 or Flash season 1 or 2. I don't think this show is as good as how am I already forgetting it? Shit, it's been a while since I've seen it. Is it Doom Patrol. I don't think this show is as good as Doom Patrol. I don't. There are this is not the best, but it is amongst the best. I don't know if it's as good as the first few seasons of Harley Quinn. I'm not sure, but it's a damn good show. I'm still settling on an 8.5 for the entire season as a whole. But like I said, I enjoyed the hell out of it, dude. It stands shoulder to shoulder. Like outside of WandaVision and maybe Loki, this show to me stands shoulder to shoulder. Maybe it might even be better. I think it might be slightly better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There you go. If you're waiting for my bias, I think it might be slightly better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think it might be slightly better than Hawkeye. But I do think WandaVision and I do think Loki are better than this show. But that's just me. That's just my personal opinion. But but like when you hear people saying such high, ridiculous, over the top things about the show, I don't think it's that. But it is a damn good show. John Cena has proven himself to be a lead. The supporting cast is solid. Like I said, I'm not enamored with anybody in the supporting cast, particularly since a lot of the stuff that they do in the show is like, bro, it only works if you ignore certain aspects. Like I said in one of my videos, the only way I did when they tried to make the whole Hart thing about him killing his racist asshole father, I didn't care. I'm just sorry. I didn't really give a fuck because he was a horrible guy. And I didn't quite even understand. I know. Oh, if you understand how that is to be in an abusive relationship. I don't. So I didn't really care. I was just like, your father's awful and you're an idiot for not knowing he's awful. And when he finally nutted up and killed him, I felt for him. But it was like kind of a brief oh man. All right. I felt more sad. And the thing is, so many people were talking about tears and stuff. The only time in the last couple episodes I felt kind of sad was for Eagley, because Eagley is a boss. I will admit that. I was skeptical. I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. A bird, you got a bald eagle as a best friend. But about around episode 6, when Eagley was taking out those fucking cops and shit, I was like, yo, Eagley can go. I was like, okay, Eagley. So yeah, Eagley, I was real sad when I thought he was dead. For a second, I was like, oh my god, Eagley. But all the other stuff, most of the other deaths, the death of that one guy, I didn't even feel that because I didn't really feel anything for him. That one guy who turned out he was a butterfly, but he was working against the other butterflies. I didn't really give a fuck about him. I was like he was there, but he had no real personality and no real, the story part about him wanting to do what he's doing came up so late in the show. It's also a certain story point that came up late in the show in the last episode was you find out the butterflies are really there to do, why they're really there, why they're really making their move, and it turns out it's to save humanity or some shit. And I like the actual idea that they were going for, because they were going for these butterflies and whatnot. They actually represent his Peacemaker's old philosophies. They represent who he used to be. And the idea is Peacemaker in episode 1 would have went along with these guys, but he's changed, he's evolved over the course of these eight episodes, and he's a better person now. So he's not willing to do that. He's not willing to sacrifice everyone for peace. In the first episode and in the Suicide Squad, I don't care how many this and this and this I have to kill to get peace. I don't care. He's not that guy anymore. And that's the idea. I just wish they had brought that plot point up maybe an episode or two earlier so that we can really let him marinate on the question of what should he do, so that when we get to this final point, it's like, man, he might not do it. You know what I mean? Because when they brought it up near the end, you're like, well, he's gonna do the right thing because they just brought it up and he's been through this whole journey. You know what I mean? So that, and there's a sequence with, I think her name's Adebayo, the Amanda Waller's daughter, where she comes flying in there shooting guns. I'm sorry. That was the most unrealistic part of the entire show. Because there are no signs. First of all, she's scared to shoot people. She was scared to shoot someone, for one. And she isn't the most accurate person. She's there ain't no talk about her training. And I waited till the end of the show because I wanted to maybe she'd come out and be like, oh, I had some training, or oh, I did a little bit of this. I'm thinking that because throughout the entirety of the show, they keep saying she's good at this. I don't know what the fuck they mean by she is good at this. She is good at what exactly? Every 5 minutes she keeps saying she ain't cut out for this. She has no actual, I'm thinking to myself, other than moral support and being a kind woman, and I liked her character. I liked the conflict between her, having to choose between her mother and all this other stuff. And, I liked her character because in a way she was the audience's eyes into this world. But when they just kept saying, oh, you cut out for this, and they said it again, oh, you should stick around because you're actually, I'm like, no, at what point does she do anything to show that she is cut out for any of this shit? And then out of nowhere, she runs in with 2 guns and she's just like, bam, 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 bam. I'm like, whoa! And give me one thing if she was, I thought they were going to play it up funny. She was going to run in and just be shooting all over the place and just happen to hit somebody. But no! She goes in there and shoots that shit like she knows exactly what she's doing, which had been not set up whatsoever. It was almost as ridiculous as in Birds of Prey when that, I can't remember, I think it was Montoya or whatever, whatever her name is, the cop lady in Birds of Prey, who, I'm sorry, maybe she is badass, but she's not fucking up a bunch of diesel-ass dudes with bats, in her 60s. No, she is not doing that. If she had shown the ability to do something like that, I believe it, but it was just asinine and asinine. That was just I remember watching Birds of Prey and being like, that was not set up, and that makes absolutely no fucking sense. Same thing happened to me in this. I was just like, okay, all right, that was that. I don't know what you're doing there. But on a plus side, that action sequence near the end when they were fucking up the butterflies was dope as fuck. Loved it. I was like, damn, I wish all the action set pieces in this show could have been as dope as this one. But I digress. Overall, I enjoyed Peacemaker. It's one of the best comic book shows of this year. It's definitely one of the best comic book shows DC's ever done. It's probably in my top 5 comic book shows of the year. Probably number 5, but it's in it. Like I said, I'm not over the moon like some people are. Some people are going fucking batshit bananas. But I did enjoy this show. I did enjoy. John Cena made the show for me. John Cena, Eagley, the mystery behind the butterflies, even though it felt a little massive for just John Cena, a bunch of humans to be dealing with. But I digress. Had an awesome cameo at the end that I spoiled on my own page. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed Peacemaker. Peacemaker Season 1 gets an 8.5 out of me. Dug the fuck out of it. John Cena, Can't wait to see season 2 just announced. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.